Welcome to our documentary on our film titled KANE. My name's Taha. I'm going to take you through the evaluation questions. So the first question is, in what ways did your product use, develop and challenge forms and conventions of real media products? So in Jaws, the sound of the waves in the sea after the death of Chrissy at the start is symbolic of death, as well as the diegetic sounds such as the bells, which is also a symbolic reference to death. And in our media product, we used the blood going down the drain, and that also symbolises death, as it's flushing down the drain and life being drained away. Composition of shots we used also resembled that of Jaws, but we decided to go in a different way with the use of composition of shots. In Jaws, the group is seen together in mid-shots, so we see them all as a collective group, which creates a sense of security. But what we chose to do was use close-ups to create a tense atmosphere, such as when the good cop and the bad cop are talking to each other, which creates tension between the two characters.
Hi, I'm Taryn. Today I talk to you about our first media product that we textually analysed, which was Jaws. I'm going to talk to you about another media product we textually analysed, the one that I did at home, which was Dial M for Murder. Now the reason why we used some of the stuff for Dial M for Murder was because in the movie you start off straight away by seeing the characters, and you don't get any idea who the characters are, their personalities, what they're like. You get straight away shown who they are. And as I watch the movie, and as you progress through the movie, you find out more about the characters and their personalities, and you can make your own judgments about them. So I thought that would be a very good thing to use in our media product. So it's not as good as their one because they had a whole movie and we only have 2 minutes. But straight away you can see the character A and character B in the not very nice surroundings in the changing rooms. And you don't know who they are, you don't know what they're doing, and but as you go through that very small amount, about 30 seconds of a clip, you get to understand who they are. And you find out, of course, that they're both policemen and this is a crime scene and there's been a death. The next media product we got inspiration from was another one of our text analysis. This one again was one I did, and it's North by Northwest. In North by Northwest, the main character, played by Cary Grant, there's a mistaken identity because he's led to be, they think the people that are going after him think he's someone else. And as you go on, you realise that he's not that person they claim he is. He's actually the person he says he is. So we want to use something similar to that, not exactly in the same way, but we want to use that in our one, where the character B, who you see in the opening shots, he is a policeman B. You know, two policemen, A and B. That's what we called him, just to say. And we wanted to make people believe him to be someone he's not, because in truth he is actually undercover KANE, the murderer. And you get a glimpse of this right at the end when he is on the phone speaking, and just before he's about to dial, he says KANE. It's got a ring to it, doesn't it? So there's a sense there that he's not the person he portrays himself to be. Okay, the final textual analysis we did was on the movie called Seven. The reason why we chose Seven is because at the beginning, where there's a very good montage scene where we see the murderer working on individual stuff, but we don't know what he's doing. We use this in our film as well. After you see the opening scene of the two policemen, we cut straight to the montage scene, where we see numerous shots. The reason why we use this is because it's very good at confusing the audience, and they have to use, they use their mind and try and figure out what's going on, and it's a good way to keep them interested in the film and wanting to go on and watch more. So that's why we use montage just like the 1 and 7 in our media product.
So for the next textual analysis, we looked at Silence of the Lambs. And there are three main features from the opening which we thought were essential. The composition of shots, the sequence of the shots, and lastly the challenging of representations. For example, Jodie Foster, who plays Clarice Starling in Silence of the Lambs, is a woman, and as she's a female in what is a typically male setting, such as a police force and that sort of area, challenges the typical conventions, because you wouldn't normally expect to see females in positions such as police officers. And the composition of shots, such as having her when she's running through the forest, we see her in mid-shot, and the way the camera is used, almost as if we're stalking her as the audience, where the camera's tracking. The sequence of shots also used words such as hurt and pain on the signpost, which is a very symbolic theme of what the horror film genre contains usually.
Go.
So for Psycho, our next textual analysis, we looked at the voyeuristic perspective and the subjective perspective that the audience is placed in the opening scene, where it cuts to an extreme long shot of the city landscape, and you could be seeing it from the villain's perspective possibly, but it's left ambiguous to the audience. So what we decided to do for our film is take shots of different things in the montage sequence from Kane's perspective, which creates an unnerving feeling for the audience at times, because you're seeing things from Kane's perspective and the sort of villainous things and very abnormal things that he's doing, such as pulling his thumb off and other things like that. And another thing we thought about in the textual analysis was that the film is not set in a specific time or date or year of any sort, and we thought that would be a good way of leaving it ambiguous to the audience as to when this thing is when the events of Kane are actually taking place. So that can also be a very good technique to use, because it makes the audience feel like this could be happening at any time.